Hello, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Adrielle, and I am currently narrating a story of my life dating back from January 2016. In a previous episode, I wrapped up the month of August, and in this episode, I want to talk about a dream I had in August and also February 2019. So, here it goes. So, I'm going to start with the February 2019 dream. This was my last semester at Georgia State before I graduated. So the dream was I drove to campus because I had a class. I parked my car, walked to my class, and then the scene switches to me finishing class and walking back to the parking lot in order to leave, right? So I remember walking back to the parking lot. I get to the parking lot. I'm looking for my car, y'all. I couldn't find it. I'm going up and down the parking lot looking for my car. I couldn't find it. Not only couldn't I not find it, but the parking lot was very busy. It seemed like people were just hanging around, talking, listening to music, drinking, and I felt unsafe. And in the dream, it was also nighttime too, as well. So I just wanted to get out of there, but I just couldn't find my car, y'all. My car was missing. So it got to a point where I spoke to some of the people there. I'm like, "Hey, did you see a car that's this and that?" They're like, "No, no." So I'm like, "What?" So I wake up. Yo, I became so paranoid about the dream that I stopped parking my car in that parking lot in real life and I canceled my permit membership stuff and I started parking my car somewhere else. That was a dream I had in 2019, February. Now, fast forward to August 2021. August 2021, I had this dream where I was leaving a work building. I was leaving a work building. It was me and another girl. We're going to call this girl, for the sake of the story, we're going to call her Kiki because she pops up in my other dreams. We're gonna call her Kiki. I know this girl from high school. We were friends, and we still talk here and there. Whenever we see each other's posts on social media or stories or whatever. So me and Kiki had left this work building, and we were walking to my car. We're at the parking lot, walking to my car. I see a boot on my tire, and I'm like, "What? Why is there? Why did someone put a boot on my tire?" So I'm you know, approaching my car, I see someone with the uniform from like a boot company and their car just going around giving people, you know, boots on their tires. So I go up to her and I say, "Hey ma'am, you put a boot on my tire. Why?" She said, "Oh yeah, because your registration is old." I'm like, "No, my registration is still active." Now here's the thing in the dream. My registration sticker, for some reason in the dream, I had my new one and my old one at the back of my license plate. So she only saw my old one. She didn't see the new one. So she automatically just assumed that I did not update my registration. So she decided to boot my car. So I was telling her, like, "Ma'am, my new registration sticker is also on my license plate as well. Like, it's right here." So she was like, "Well, I only saw the old one." And I'm like, "But ma'am, my registration is up to date. So you can like remove the boot from a tire." She was like, "Well, no, I can't." And I'm like, "Ma'am, my registration is up to date. You can't blame me that you didn't see the new one. Like, you really gonna keep this boot on my tire because I have my new registration and old registration on the same license plate? Like, all I have to do is just take off the old one. That's it." But according to the system, my registration is up to date. She was like, "Yeah, no, no, no. I'm not gonna remove the boot." So now I'm pissed off. So I said, "Okay, you know what? I'm gonna just pay for it." Now, in my head, I'm thinking I'm going to pay $75 or 80 or whatever, right? So I say to her, I say, "Okay, how much is it going to cost for me to remove the boot?" Do you know what this lady tells me in the dream? She says $1,000. I said, "Ma'am, what? Like $1,000 to take this boot off of my tire? No. No, 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 no." So I said, "You know what? I'm going to go back into the building." Now, here's the thing. This building was like a government agency building where they did stuff, I don't know, like welfare or some other stuff. It was a government agency job, basically. So me and Kiki go back into the building. I'm like, I need to talk to somebody because this is outrageous what's happening to me. I don't even know who this lady is. I don't even know where she came from. So I go into this random lady's office and I tell her, ma'am, I was given a boot on my tire for my registration. It's up to date, but she only saw my old registration. She gives me an invoice for $1,000. So I gave it to the lady and I'm like, ma'am, there needs to be something that has to be done about this. I'm not paying $1,000 to get a boot off of my tire. So the lady looks at my invoice and she says, ma'am, the $1,000 is just an admin fee. The entire cost is 300,000. I said, what? My car wasn't even worth $300,000. So you mean to tell me to take the boot off is going to cost $300,000? Am I driving a spaceship? Like, y'all, I was so confused. I was so confused and so mad because, y'all, I should have never had a boot on my tire at all. So Kiki's looking at me like just trying to like comfort me and just be a supportive friend. The next thing, she looks outside the window of the office. She sees someone and she calls that person. She's like, hey, come, come, come. So that person comes. Now, here's the thing, that person in the dream was the same exact person who told me I had favor on my back in one of the dreams I had back in 2019. Yes. So that same exact person was in my dream. So Kiki calls her, gets her attention, calls her to come into the office and says, "Hey, like Adriel, tell her what happened." And I'm like, "Yeah, I have a boot on my tire, and they're telling me it's going to cost 300,000 to take it to get it off." And then she says, "Okay, I'm gonna be right back." She leaves. Me and Kiki are in that lady's office, just like, what is going on? And we just gotta figure this thing out. The next thing, y'all, that favor person, I'm gonna call her a favor person. The favor person comes back with Floyd Mayweather into the office, and I'm looking at the favor person like, how do you know Floyd Mayweather? Like what? So she says to him like, "Hey, she has a boot on her tire, and they're saying it's gonna cost 300,000." And he says, "Okay, I'll pay for it." I'm like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, I'll pay for it." And then he brings out his hand towards the lady, like, "Hey, like, give me the invoice. I'll pay for it." So I was just like, "What?" The next thing, Floyd and the favorite person, they leave, and I just break down in tears. I just break down in tears, and Kiki's just supporting me. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like I don't have a job. I didn't know what I was gonna do. And the lady who was in the office, her office, she just comforts me and said, "Hey, everything's gonna be all right. Everything's gonna be fine." I keep saying I don't have a job. She says to me like, "Hey, I'm gonna put your name in our system so that when we have openings or whatever, you'll be like one of our first contacts." I said, "Okay, thank you, thank you." And that was the end of the dream. So, y'all, I start doing the math. I start thinking about the dream I had back in 2019. Now, when I had that dream, y'all, I thought that was like a real life dream. That was why I stopped parking my car in that parking lot. I said, no, I'm having a second car dream. And based on my little knowledge of dream interpretation at this time, y'all, based off my little knowledge, I knew cars represented a person's life. I knew cars and houses. Yeah, cars and houses represented a person's life. So the first dream I had, my car was missing. So someone stole my car in the first dream. The second dream, someone put a boot in my car. Well, a boot company put a boot in my car because they said that I didn't have my registration up to date, whatever. So if a car is symbolic for a person's life, that means the first dream, someone stole my life. The second dream, someone put a hindrance to my life. But somebody was going to help me get out of that situation. Why am I having dreams that someone's like out from my life? And the way my wilderness season was going, y'all, it really did look like someone was after my life. because I had been through a wilderness season back in 2016, y'all. It was nothing like what I was going through in 2020, 2019, and 2021. So I'm like, okay, who is after my life? There's someone doing there's some spiritual thing going on, and I know the devil is really behind it. But why? Where is it coming from? Which angle is all these things coming from? Um, Later on, y'all, in 2022, I started having way more car dreams, y'all, and things started to be revealed. Things that were in the dark started to be revealed to me, and things that were going to happen in the future was being revealed to me as well. So, yeah, that was what happened to me back then. In my next episode, I am going to talk about the month of September. And yeah, so if you're liking or like this story, please like, comment, subscribe, share my video as well. And until next time, bye.